Good morning, everyone. This is a beautiful morning. The sky is gray, it is drizzling, and I am nowhere near being clothed enough for this temperature. But each and every one of my cells contain all the warmth needed for this video and to go back to my heated, resting place. Past traumas, old wounds, things that put me in a reactive state towards everything around me. Why to heal them? Why to sort them out? Isn't it easier to just let it be, keep it simple, accept who I am? It has worked so far. Why should I need to go within, feel the excruciating pain of reliving those past traumas, seeing how those wounds have bled on others throughout my life? I will tell you why. The short answer is vulnerability is my one and true strength. I'll explain. At a young age, it is quite possible, except if you're born in some monastery on some distant mountain, that I'll speak for myself. Some of my most needed needs were baffled at a young age. Not much. I had wonderful parents. But as every parent, there is no such thing as perfection, right? I won't go into details right now. What are my wounds? But I'll just say that I needed to compensate for those needs that weren't met. So at a young age, of course, before 5, I was quite vulnerable. Then I started going to school, being in contact with other kids. What effect did that have on me? Well, I wanted to learn how to belong with them. I wanted friends. So I modified who I am. I developed some mechanisms to preserve my energy, to take energy from other at my will. One of them, you've heard of it, maybe you identify, to become the chameleon who can fit with all kinds of people. You want to please, you surely don't want to displease people. That's one of mine too. It is being transmuted. The progression is astonishing. So those traits that I have developed to fit, to belong, eventually, well, they've led to some shortcoming deficiencies in regard to wanting to please others, being the chameleon, being deaf to what was inside of me, to what I was feeling, lacking self-respect, self-confidence, self-esteem, all things that need to be transmuted, healed in the current time, well, as an adult. And those conducts have harmed me in the past. But let's speak about another wound that for me is well healed. The feelings of injustice, all those feelings, those states that trigger resentment, judgment, that makes me think that it shouldn't be as it is. I am due another reality. So when something in my surrounding make me feel reopen that wound, I feel that things are unjust, and I begin to be resentful, to be in anger. So it is natural throughout the growth from child to teenager to adult that I've developed some protections against that. Against all feelings. I'm only using 2 examples in this video. Maybe a third will come along. But thing is, those traumas, those wounds, well, they are natural. They couldn't have been avoided, unless I was born a monk on some distant mountain. So what to do with it? Why? Why do I need to go inside? It's painful reliving all this, and it's quite humbling to write and think about all the things that those wounds made me do when those wounds were opened and they would bleed on others. Well, I spoke of vulnerability. I'll go with an analogy. So picture what I'm saying. When we're growing, to protect ourselves, to protect our energy, to fulfill our most basic needs, in my case, to love and be loved, I put around my heart a carapace, a thick carapace, so others couldn't harm it. In my case, it didn't hold by itself. I was pretty good at wanting to stay pure. I still had to work intently to get rid of it. And a carapace is something of the flesh around the heart. It cannot be removed. It needs to be surgically removed. How? Well, by putting the pen to the paper or the fingers to the Samsung Notes. I've done a lot of writing to discover what harmed me, how I protected myself, how I was planning to keep reacting and to keep rejecting every aspect of reality that would trigger those wounds again. So by all this writing, this deep conscious inventory of myself, of my core being, I removed the carapace. Some people have barbed wire around their carapace. It is a challenge to approach them. It is a challenge to love them. Once that carapace is removed, protection is still needed. Vulnerability is still dangerous at that state. So we put on an armor, which is lighter, which is a bit more flexible, but the aim is vulnerability, And an armor still requires 2 people to remove. I'm picturing the medieval armors right now. So it is not quite possible to become vulnerable at will. And by vulnerable, I will explain in more details on further videos. Vulnerability is just the capacity to accept reality as it is, to welcome it, and to grow from it. When I am vulnerable, my connection is crystal clear with all there is, to my intuition, to God, as I understand, live, and experience God. The universe, the force, quantum physics, the atoms, the infinitely small to understand the infinitely big. Anyway, God as I understand it. Let's let it at that. So the armor requires more refining of the inner inventory that I'm doing in order to remove it permanently. But then, I still need some kind of protection. The world is full of all kinds of people. I cannot yet be vulnerable in that state. So, with the help of others, I remove this armor and I choose not to put it back. What protection do I choose then? I will remain in the imagery. A shield. A shield that I can direct in the direction that I want, that I need. This is more flexible. I can move more easily with the shield. And I can choose what to block and what I let reach my heart. And also, I can remove the shield from a movement of the arm when needed. It becomes easier to reach that vulnerability point that I need. And the next step, well, it's training to be vulnerable, training to stay safe. Eventually, the shield is dropped because I have learned to see the blows coming, to move, to dodge the hits. Now I am way more flexible. I see things coming my way before they happen. And disclaimer, I am in training. The process is ongoing and it's exhilarating to observe myself become my dream. I am, just for today, I am. So yeah, that's the imagery that I wanted to share this morning. Vulnerability is my one and true strength. When I surrender myself to the reality as it is, I am in constant learning, progression, growth. I understand by continuing my journaling, I understand that I become aware to everything that I say, that I think. I realize that my verb, my intentions are received by the universe, and the universe is programmed in accordance to what I've spoke and thought of. I am programming my learning curve. I am a co-creator of my reality. And without vulnerability, I resist. Being vulnerable, I capitulate and I trust life as I understand it. The mystical intelligence of the universe as I live it. I wish for you guys the same thing. For I am no teacher. Teachers teach and correct students. I am a student. I am the student. Ever learning. Ever seeking more thrilling lessons of life. And I share my class notes with so much glee. I am so joyous to be among you guys, to live in this time period. No, I'll keep that for myself. I wish you all a marvelous day, filled with wonders, with self-consciousness, consciousness of everything inner and outward. I bid you farewell, and I thank my first subscriber. Find him in the comment section for the inspiration for this video. Thank you, Rez. I'm so grateful that you're here. Have a great day, everyone.